On today's episode, we talk about practices that help us cultivate joy on a daily basis.
And how cultivating joy isn't about denying the suffering, it's about finding enough energy so that you can be of service in the world.
Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Stay Sparked. We are longtime friends here with a mission to share conversations aimed to light you up. I'm Betsy Finklehoo, the creator of the Power Affirmation Project, tools to help you change your thinking, somatic body worker, and an advocate for grateful living.
I am John Halcyon. I am the author of Love More, Fear Less, Float More, Steer Less.
We always love starting these conversations with gratitude. And so today we actually have a shared gratitude. We are both just sharing so much gratitude for our Stay Sparked colleague and a love ambassador, Janus. We're so grateful for
Yay!
you, Janus, if you're
Happy
listening.
birthday!
And big shout out, happy birthday. We love you. For those of you who have not yet met him, you can go back on some of our previous episodes and hear his beautiful voice and his wonderful wisdom. So we are just sending lots of gratitude out to Janus. All right, so on today's episode, we want to talk about something that both of us are very passionate about and we practice on a regular basis, which is the cultivation of joy. And this has been coming up a lot for me in my own self-reflections because there's just the climate of the world right now is somewhat tumultuous. There's just a lot going on in the world and a lot of things that can cause a lot of stress and some fears and tension. And I personally feel that the practice of gratitude, practice of joy, these kinds of things have really helped me to have greater balance when things are challenging. And I wanted to have a conversation with my dear friend Halcyon, who is also a love ambassador and a Sparky who cultivates that joy practice as a way to hopefully uncover some of our own personal practices to share with you today and see what kind of inspiration comes. So let's start off with some curiosity from you. Around what are some of your dailies that you do to strengthen your joy muscle?
I really think a daily practice is so critical and it's made such a huge difference in my life. The things that I do every day is at 9 o'clock, I do a Love Ambassador, Love Morning broadcast on YouTube, where people can come in and share gratitude and share wins and share what's alive for them. It's not a place where you have to pretend to be happy, but it is a place to acknowledge what's going on in our life and trying to find silver linings or lessons or something to be grateful for. And that is a huge gratitude. A huge joy cultivation practice is gratitude, and especially applying it to the things that are not obviously good, like work struggle, or relationship struggle, and find like, okay, I'm grateful that I have what it takes to get this assignment done. I'm grateful that the the struggles that I'm having right now in this relationship are ones that version of me couldn't have been able to handle. So I do that 9, and then I do more gratitude at noon. At noon, I host a gratitude circle in Zoom, which is open. You guys are welcome. I'd love to see you there. It's free. And the same is just sharing gratitude and also hearing other people's gratitude. There's something so healing and so helpful about hearing what other people are aware of that is good in their world, because so often it sparks our own awareness. The big challenge of our human minds is that they've evolved to be noticers of what's wrong, because that is a survival technique that keeps us alive. So we have to actively cultivate the practices that help us to also see what's going well.
Absolutely. Yes to all of that. I highly agree with so much of what you shared, but especially when sharing gratitude with other people,
Yeah.
it gets stronger. we start to see so much more that there is to be thankful for, especially if that muscle or that habit is not as strong. When we spend time with people that are actively practicing that, then it's sort of contagious.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's I want to be really clear that it's not a bypass. You know, if someone says, uh, you know, my house burned down, you don't say, well, aren't you lucky that you get to start over? Like, no, that's
No.
like it's well, first if someone says their house burned down, you just listen and say, my God, that sounds terrible. But if
Hmm.
your house burns down, somewhere in your pain and in your grieving, you might take a breath and say, I'm grateful I got out of there alive. You know, I'm grateful that what I lost was just stuff.
Hmm.
I'm grateful that I am reminded of how precious everything I have is because a lot of it I don't have anymore. You know,
Yeah.
like these ways of like of that getting that muscle. So like even while I am grieving, I can find some, I'll say joy, because I think of joy as something that isn't necessarily like happy. Like you could, if you can feel joy when you're in a place of like resonating with your human experience. And I think
Hmm.
you can do that while you're grieving if you can practice a healthy type of gratitude.
Yes, absolutely. Authentic gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of people kind of reflect back to me or a ask me, how do you seem to have so much joy in your life and you seem to be happy all the time and grateful all the time? And, it's an interesting reflection because I am human and I also feel other emotions like anger and frustration and feeling annoyed at times and grieving and all of these different things. And I feel like in my daily life, I practice these types of things like gratitude and breath and movement and these other kinds of things that we'll talk about in a minute, to then help me get through those more challenging emotions that arise. The feelings of deep grief that I recently experienced from moving to a town that was just really had a lot of destruction from the hurricane. That was really hard and really sad. And to get to a place of authentic gratitude during that was much easier because I think because I had been practicing it, because
Yeah.
I have like cultivated that strength. And the victim mentality didn't really have any room because I was able to start to see all the silver linings much easier.
Mm. You know, I think like there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're a victim. There's nothing wrong with being in pure grief and being overwhelmed with sadness. But I think it's also important to remember that it's not an obligation. Sometimes we feel like terrible things are happening, so it's irresponsible to not be upset.
Hmm.
Like it's like somehow not honoring the people who are suffering if I don't join in the misery and if I don't join in the anger, join in like how dare you uh, be dancing while there's others that are hungry. It's like, well, that's not how I believe the human experience works. Nobody's belly is filled by me not eating a sandwich, you know? And
Hmm.
and so I think that it's important to feel what you want to feel and allow yourself to 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 choose how you want to feel. Like as if I pay attention to social media right now, there are people that are so angry, rightfully so. And it can be tempting to feel like I should be that angry as well. What I would say is if that anger is going to push me to action, then perhaps that is a worthwhile use of my energy and my focus. But just being angry does not serve anything. It is not progress. It does not lead to change. It just it kind of stunts your energy. Joy that has action behind it is way more beneficial than anger without action.
Hmm.
so it's okay to be really unhappy with the world or circumstances, but still find gratitude and still allow yourself to dance, to celebrate, to laugh. And
Hmm.
I think it's so important.
Yes, absolutely. This has been a really big part of my thought process around like, is it okay to feel joy when there's a lot of things to be sad and mad about? Is it okay for me to still be living my life from a joyful experience while I am also grieving? Like that's part of what I get to go through is within my own process and practice is I create the space for myself to feel those feelings of grief. I have a friend that's in the hospital and I sit with the feelings that I have around that and I give myself permission to feel that. And then when I feel complete, I wipe my tears and I get up and I dance and I go look for something beautiful or I find something that is actually going to bring that sense of joy within my soul back. So that way I can continue to move through my life in a way that feels really good. And I've done the opposite before as well, where wallowing is just like creates so much dissonance. It feels heavy. It's really difficult to move and do anything really from that place of wallowing. But from a place of cultivated effervescence and bubbling joy, creativity flows through. Connection is way more available from that place. I'm able to reach out to people and connect with my community, and to be able to do that is important. And so, yeah, I think there's a healthy balance. And for me, it is that creating that safe space to feel the feelings and then also staying committed to the different practices, which I'd love to touch on because before we started recording, I wrote down a list of practices that I believe are joy cultivating practices that we can do
Beautiful.
daily. And I know that some of these are things that you do too, and probably a lot of you out there. So maybe these will be reminders for us. But I feel that singing is a really important thing for our souls to shine. And
And if you keep on singing, you're a friend of mine.
it's a wonderful practice to sing. You know, in churches, people sing. Gospel churches, they're like singing in devotion, and there's song circles, and there's these people gather around fires and sing together. And there's something that happens in our soul when we sing. And a lot of people feel very edgy and think that they don't sing or can't sing or would never be caught dead singing or think they sound horrible even when they sing to themselves. And it is, again, a practice to get out of our own way, to learn how to just even tone and make different sounds. Sound is so healing, music is so healing. And so I find that the consistent practice of singing is really helpful. And it can also help other people feel joyful. So I'll give an example. Last week, my partner and I, we were getting ready to go on this big adventure, and we had a lot of different tasks that we were managing, moving around the house, packing, cleaning, making food, all the things. Those moments where it's compressed and you got a lot going on. It can be very easy to start to feel stress. And the whole time he was singing, he was just like making up some songs and singing through the house. And it helped me so much to just stay relaxed and stay in my joy. And so
Mm.
sometimes just singing to be silly can really make things move so much more smooth.
I'm against silly singing. I think it's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I make up a song, melody and lyrics every morning to start my 9 o'clock broadcast. And
Mm.
I think there's something, I mean, I should say, I feel a little out of my depth talking about singing. My partner is a professional song leader. She leads choirs and really is a profound believer and a teacher of voice as joy instrument, as grief processing. And in fact, if you are in San Diego or uh, Carmel area. She's gonna be leading a choir this May. There's gonna be a new choir series if you would like to join and kind of really practice. It's a no audition, everyone welcome thing. And I've witnessed the choir and seen how it's like church without religion because there's so much joy cultivation and emotional processing that can happen depending on what's going on in the songs. And
Mm.
I think that there's something, and this is my non expert awareness that I've started to sing more. It you have to open up. You have to let things flow through you. I think like when you were talking about being stagnant, I think, or did you say stagnant? Wallowing, you said wallowing. When you're wallowing, you're kind of like you're not letting the stuff come through you. You're not letting it come out. You're sitting in a story or a belief and just stewing, whereas grieving or crying or is things are flowing out of you. And why it feels good. It feels like a really alive feeling to have energy flowing through you. And so singing is a way to loosen up your sphincter, loosen up metaphorically, loosen up, the things the way that you're tightening up. I know that like when I make up a song in the morning, it's like I feel like it's taking like a shot of wheatgrass or something where I'm just like, okay, I'm just running and letting things out, and it really changes my whole headspace. And by opening up my vocal cords, I have to allow the energy to flow through.
Absolutely. I love your singing and your songs. And it takes something to get out of your own way as well, because I think that if there is that belief that I couldn't do that, I can't sing, oh, that's Halcyon, he's good at that, but I couldn't do that, or like I don't know how to rhyme, or I'm not willing to try it, then that will just keep us stuck. But to just get out of their own way, and it's okay if it actually doesn't sound that good, and just see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I grew up thinking I can't sing. I got kicked out of a choir when I was a kid because I was goofing off, but I thought I can't sing. I never did karaoke. And then at an ayahuasca ceremony, like 8 years ago, people were going around the circle sharing songs, and a couple people had terrible voices. And I was like, you're allowed to do that? You're allowed to sing just because it makes you feel good? And it was this epiphany. And so the next night, I memorized the song and sang, and it was a total transformation. I was like, I enjoyed it. I happen to sound amazing, but even if I didn't, um, it's you can sing because it's something that humans do. It's like you don't have to be a good artist to draw. It's a way that we can express and be human. And if we hold it in, we are sacrificing and compromising part of our gift of being alive.
Yes. Woo! So good. I feel the
Yes.
sparks. Yeah. Well, I'll just before we move on to the next pillar of cultivating joy, I will share one of my favorite ones to kind of help me cultivate joy and sing. If I don't have a particular song, the scale always does it for me. So simple. La 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 la. And I will do the scale while I'm just doing different things around the house or going for a walk or whatever I might be doing. And what it does for me is it actually starts to like take a dry um, eraser and clear out any of the clutter of the mind and
Hmm.
clears out the monkey mind of all my to-do lists. And it just has me focusing on the song, and it's becomes sort of like a mantra or like just this melody that goes on repeat. And it just really is so focusing. And mantras, of course, are wonderful. They're ancient texts to help us focus the mind, and there's specific frequencies that open different parts of our energetic bodies, which that's a whole other episode. Um, but
But but there is, I mean, like there are songs that are single lines repeated, you
yeah.
know. I'll put in the show notes a link to my partner's website, thebirdsings.com, and she's got all these different songs that she teaches in her trainings, but there's some that are just like one line over and over that can be super healing. In fact, I am called to share, I believe the truth about myself. No matter how beautiful it is, I believe the truth about myself. No matter how beautiful it is.
I love that. Thank you. I can't wait to check out her website and some of her music. Oh, so sweet. Yes, sing, 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 little birds. Mm.
So what's
Well,
another
one of
pillar?
the other pillars, it's kind of related in a way, to really recognize that having some connection to a spiritual practice I think is an essential part of cultivating joy. Whether that is having a connection to a church or a meditation or a song circle or a community of some kind that fulfills a sense of connection to whatever you want to call God, creator, source, spirit, uh, just there is something so powerful about having that connection. Maybe it's having a fire ritually, maybe there is some kind of spiritual practice. And I think it's related because a lot of times there's singing involved, and singing in groups is so powerful. And we've been doing it for a very, very long time. And these days, church is not as common as it was only just 1 or 2 generations ago. And so to be able to have some kind of connection, I think is so important. And so for me, I had been going to SRF and when I was in San Diego, the Spiritual Center, what is it? SRF,
Self-realization fellowship.
Self-Realization Fellowship, yep. And that really resonated with me. Here in Asheville, I haven't found my particular church, but I have found a dance community that is no talking on the dance floor, and oftentimes it's on Sundays. And
Mm.
so we go, we dance together, we breathe, we move, we get into an ecstatic state, which feels like a spiritual practice. And so I think that that's another really important pillar.
That's awesome. And I would I would say that the God part of it is optional. Like that might be a part of it, but to me it's more about a community where you feel a sense of belonging. And and a belonging not because, you wore the right outfit that all the cool bikers are wearing, but a belonging in that you are being celebrated for who you truly are. And that I mean, it happens in a church, it happens in a spiritual community, happens in probably a D&D guild. Like there's a infinite number of ways that you can feel like you are part of a family, a
Mm.
community, and that sense of belonging is a huge way to cultivate joy.
Absolutely. And it is also, on the flip side, a way to feel complete fear and disconnection. Because a sense of belonging in our primal days was essential for survival. And so if we don't have a sense of belonging, then there's something in our DNA that's like, I might die if I don't belong, And so to be able to find a place that actually feels right and sometimes it's family, sometimes it's the complete opposite of blood family, you know, and finding a place that we do actually feel welcomed and warm and settled in, and we can be ourselves and feel a sense of that belonging. It takes something too, to be able to find your tribe and find your place. And sometimes that, if that's, in person, amazing. But these days, we even have access to that online. I have a women's group, a virtual women's group, and we come together and we share our breakthroughs and we do journaling and meditation and we just really get a chance to connect. And one of the women shared a reflection afterwards and she said, I feel this is a place that I feel like I belong.
Mm,
And it's like, that's like nervous system relaxes. It's like, yes, yes, it's so important. And I imagine in your gratitude circles,
totally.
someone comes and they feel like they belong.
Right. And you're so right that I mean it's an evolutionary need, that the being kicked out of the tribe meant death, for our ancestors. And so it becomes a double-edged sword or a difficult thing, I think, in the modern world where we crave the feeling of belonging, But until we know that it's possible to find belonging for who we truly are, we will sometimes settle for belonging by pretending what that community is looking for and accepting. And so one of the paths of spiritual growth, and hopefully, by listening here and on your own journey, is you recognize that it's different. It's a different level of joy, and the possibility of your own growth is so exponentially greater when you find community that isn't asking you to be anything but authentically you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. And you know what? This actually kind of leads into this next pillar that I had been thinking about. What are the ways that I cultivate joy in my life? And one of them is actually through boundaries and
Mm.
having boundaries with people, first of all, that I might not feel a sense of care or belonging, or if there's a lot of judgment or other kinds of things, projections and whatnot, then I, over the years, have learned that having boundaries with how much time I spend with those types of people is actually going to contribute to my joy. And then also boundaries with other stressful things, having a very strong, clear line for what I'm willing to consume, whether that is media, for example. Those social media threads that have the conversations that are just like stress inducing, for example, or different kind of media that might create tension in my system or frustration and anger. And like you said at the beginning, I think that was really wise around, unless this stress-inducing thing is going to stir up some action, some positive action, then I'm just going to turn it off. Or I'm just going to go spend time somewhere else and doing something that's going to actually help me feel good. Because I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. And I know that those kinds of things, especially sustained, is not healthy.
Yeah. You have to have boundaries about what you let into your mind. You have to cultivate the input, because if you just passively allow media ideas to just flow in as you encounter them, and the deck is stacked against you so badly. The algorithms know that outrage and anger and fear get the most attention, draw us in. So you are going to be inundated with that stuff. If you just let it happen, you're just going to get more and more and more of it. And you're going to think, because it's what you're being exposed to, that that is what the world is. You
Hmm.
know, and it's not. It is what the algorithm has determined is the most upsetting things in the world. So that's what we are going to make your reality. So if you just let it in, let it in, let it in, you're going to be living in a state of this world sucks, everything sucks, everything sucks. Which reminds me of one of my favorite little mantra tools that I use is crap or cone. At every moment in your life, you've got one foot in dog crap and you're holding an ice cream cone in one hand. At every moment in your life, you've got people that don't like you, you got work that has to be done, you got your aching back. At the same time, you've got laughing babies and your favorite foods and sunsets. There's always a near infinite amount of things happening in reality. And you have to choose, what am I going to pay attention to? And if you just passively let social media or let Zuckerberg decide what you see, you're going to say, this world sucks. It is filled with horrible people, betrayal. It's filled with it's terrible. But if you decide to actively focus on the miracles, the love, the triumphs, the courage, then you can go, whoa, this world is amazing. My life is amazing. So the degree in which you experience life as heaven or hell depends on how you cultivate joy. It depends on how you place your focus. And people will say, well, you got to be realistic, or it's irresponsible not to pay attention to all the negative stuff. I'm like, what? There's realistic. It's like there's way more things to pay attention to than you could ever have time to. So you have to really discern, what am I going to pay attention to? And it's not like at the end of your life you get to the pearly gates and God says, well, you are way too joyful. You are way too happy this life. You should have squandered your life feeling miserable because there's so much suffering in the world. How dare you enjoy this gift of life I gave you? Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I don't think other people are thinking that way either. Even though sometimes I have felt that. I'm like, is my joy okay here? Some people are like, ah, you should not be so joyful right now. And I'm like, actually, we all have a choice. We all have a choice on how we want to be. And yeah, I think you are just hitting the nail on the head around what we focus on expands. There's always going to be things to be stressed about and upset about and things to complain about. And there's always things to be grateful for. And we have the choice on what we want to focus on. And we have a choice on what we want to consume as well. Media is like food. We choose what kind of food we ingest, right? If we want to ingest microwavable pizzas and highly processed food, that's going to give us a particular type of fuel and thought process, and our gut and our microbiome and everything's going to respond to the food that we put in, right? If we eat fresh organic vegetables and fruits and just quality food on a more regular basis, we're also going to have a different life experience. Our bodies are going to operate differently. Same thing if we're ingesting just stress inducing negative conversations or videos or photos that create a sense of comparison or judgment. That's food. Our system is going to process that. When we go to sleep at night, we have all that in our subconscious, and then that's going to really dictate a lot of our reality. But if we are actively choosing to infuse our consciousness with quality conversations, quality music, media, videos, inspiring, uplifting kind of content, audiobooks and whatnot, we're going to have a different experience. We'll likely go to bed feeling inspired, And so I think it's really powerful to take the reins of our choices on our daily practices that we can cultivate joy with.
Yeah. And ideally be energized by that joy so that we can find ways to be of service in the world.
Mm.
That when there's crap on your shoe, you don't pretend there's no crap. You acknowledge that there is crap. You try to clean your shoe off, maybe walk around the crap, and but don't put down your ice cream cone and just focus on the crap. Deal with it. And ideally, if you've been eating enough ice cream, you're happy enough that you then have the energy to go deal with some of the stuff in the world that could use your help. Like I and it also there it is possible to spread light and not wallow in the dark. I talk about here the First Saturdays organization that we celebrate our 14-year anniversary uh, next week. 14
Wow.
years of
Wow.
monthly outings of gifting to people in need. And it is a joyous event. It is smile filled, celebratory, and it is that way because it is part of this overall practice of cultivating joy, being energized by joy, and taking that energy and being of service and action in the world. I think that is an option. You don't have to be fueled by anger.
Aho.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for doing that work. And I'll just speak to the service piece too, is like, you have been doing this really big project for 14 years where you're putting a lot of energy and effort. It's very clearly a service project. And also, service can come in tiny little micro bite-sized pieces daily. That might
Absolutely.
be waving at your garbage man and saying hello and thank you. That's being in service. Thank you, right? Gratitude, sharing that gratitude. Maybe that is holding some space for a friend. Maybe that is helping somebody at the grocery store. There's little tiny small moments of service can really fuel our sense of joy and purpose as well. Because by the end of the day, it's like, wow, how was I in service today? And if I can look back and even just say, I took my dog for a walk, or I reached out to a friend, or whatever it might have been, I got to be in a little bit of service, then we start to feel good about ourselves. And there's going to be other days where we're doing a lot more. And I think the
Yeah.
more that we all do that, it gets to be a much brighter and more beautiful world.
Yes. 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 The world is a terrible, horrible place. And it is miraculous and love filled. And if you think that you have to wait to be happy until all the bad stuff is gone, you will never be happy.
Mm.
And so, but if you instead can say, I am going to be satisfied by turning the dial a little bit towards light and love and warmth. I'm going to just move the dial a little bit by saying hello to my garbage man, by looking the cashier in the eye, by picking up the phone from the friend that is in need, by what paying for the coffee for the person that was struggling to find enough change in their pocket. Like these just little bitty actions, then you can go, cool. Like our job is not to end suffering in the world. Our job is to reduce the suffering in the world. And that is totally possible on a daily basis by little bitty actions.
Yeah, and I think we can probably start to close it up. And I love this conversation so much. There's always so much more, and we'll probably keep going on this conversation if you haven't noticed. But there's threads of this in probably all of our all of our Stay Sparked, because that's what this is about, staying
Yeah.
sparked. And in tradition, we do a closing spark, and I feel like for me in this moment, it's that daily cultivation of joy, whatever it might be, it is a commitment. It is such a commitment, is in service to the whole. There is research that shows from Heart Math Institute that our joy is actually contributing to the electromagnetic field of the planet. When people come together in large groups and meditate, crime goes down. When people come together and practice coherence meditation, the frequency of the planet changes. So, in a way, our joy is in service to a better world. So, if we want to see a better world, then it starts inside. It's so cliche at this point, but we've heard it over and over again because it's true. And so that is my closing spark, to be in service to the world. I am and choosing joy on a regular basis.
Amen. I mean, we are each of us a part of this Gaia organism. So if we heal ourselves, we are healing the planet. It's the part that we have the most effect over. So yeah, I, amen. Michael Ian Spark, you're right. I feel like I could talk about this forever and ever. And I feel like it overlaps in a lot of our episodes. In fact, even our last episode, 71, we talk about a Ram Dass quote that would be a good follow-up to this one. But I guess my closing spark is just to be really clear that um, we're not talking about bypassing suffering and ignoring pain or injustice. We're saying that the world is both. The world is filled with horror and beauty. And the spiritual path is learning to hold more and more of both. And in your capacity to hold both, you can be of greater service. If you deny the joy, then the suffering overwhelms you. If you deny the suffering, the the hedonism makes life shallow. So it is about cultivating both to feel the most alive, the most human, and the most of service to this planet.
Well said. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Betsy.
Yeah, I'm sparked.
If you're in San Diego, come join us at First Saturdays downtown, noon on the first Saturday of every month.
Amazing. And if we can pop onto one of your gratitude Zooms, love to do that. So can you please put the link to that in your show notes?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And you can find me on the socials and on my website as well, which are also in the show notes. I love talking about this. I love supporting people to really get into a deeper connection with their thought process through using a system that has come through the Power Affirmation Journal and some other tools that support that really reprogramming of our belief systems. So you can check that out on poweraffirmation.com. And I also love doing doing women's groups and working one-on-one with people. So feel free to reach out if you want to explore a little more with me.
Amazing. Lucky people to get to work with you. All the things that I've mentioned are you can find through lifestudent.com, the for Saturdays and the gratitude circles and the morning broadcast. What is not highlighted there, but I'm getting very into lately is one-on-one coaching. I've been taking on more clients and really feeling like I'm hitting my stride in being of service uh, to people wanting to be more in integrity, especially men that are wanting to step up in relationship in a gentle, strong, modern masculinity. It's I've been really feeling strong in it myself and feeling like I'm in a good place. So if that has interest to you, I'm working with a sliding scale. So please reach out and say hello so we can maybe get us both more of service in the world.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, and then in the spirit of our closing, I would love to close it up with an affirmation based on the inspiration coming through our conversation today. So we can just start with a nice deep breath. If you want to, you can close your eyes and place your hand on your heart or your belly and tune into the affirmation that I choose joy. I choose joy. I choose to cultivate joyful practices in my life so I can navigate all of life's challenges with ease. I choose to cultivate joyful practices in my life daily so I can move through life's challenges with grace. I am willing to feel all my feels, and I am committed to cultivating joy. I am balanced. I am whole. I am healthy. I am balanced. I am whole. I am healthy. I am sparked. I am sparked with inspiration. Thank you all so
Mm.
much for listening. Hope you have a
Mm.
wonderful rest of your day, cultivating your joyful practices. And be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have gotten this far. So thank you for listening and helping us spread the sparks.
And follow us on Instagram. Stay sparked. Betsy, you're so awesome. I love you so much. And thanks everyone for listening.
Love you.
Find us on Instagram at Stay Sparked and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Thanks so much for helping us spread these sparks.